Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this important seminar series from the Institute of Advanced Materials for Sustainable Manufacturing. My name is Eduardo Sosa. I'm professor of the Institute in the unit of Bioproduction Systems. And today we have the pleasure to have in the floor Professor Mariel Alfaro. Please let me introduce her, reading her bio and letting you know what she has been doing. Mariel Alfaro Ponce is an assistant professor in the Biomedical Engineering Program at Tecnológico de Monterrey, Ciudad de México. She received a bachelor's degree in Biomedical Engineering, a master's science in Microelectronic Engineering, and a PhD in Computer Science from the Instituto Politécnico Nacional, Mexico. Her research interest includes artificial intelligence, rehabilitation devices, and intelligent bioinstrumentation. She is a member of the National System of Researchers of Mexico, SNA Level 1, and from 2022, she is head of the manufacturing process for advanced materials in Ciudad de México Research Unit. Without more ado, I leave the floor to Professor Mariel Alfaro. Thank you for giving this interesting talk.
Oh, thank you. So, sorry. So, thank you all for joining us here. Está mal el audio. Yeah? Okay. Okay. So, once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. Today I'm going to present the lines of research that my research unit is working on. Mainly we're working in 5 lines of research that are associated with bioprinters. Also we are working a little bit of collaborative robotics. We have a line of research for decision business models based in machine learning. And we have other projects that are associated with bioinstrumentation and also in machine learning algorithms applied for developing new materials. So, well, first of all, we would like to start with what is a cyber-physical systems. You know, during the presentation, you're going to see that we work with things that are from, you know, bioinstrumentation, sensing. Also, we have working with software development. So mainly we work cyber-physical systems like that. So, you know, they play a crucial role in sustainable manufacturing because they integrate the physical process and also with the digital technologies. In this sense, they have a lot of advances for the industry because they allow real-time monitoring, control, and optimization of diverse processes. Also, they lead to efficiency and reduce environmental impact from the industry. How they do that? They have a lot of sensors, and the cyber-physical systems gather the information from all the machines, the products, and the environment for the industry. So they allow the real-time monitoring of several factors, such as energy consumption, waste generation, emissions, and this data can be used to, you know, to identify key factors, such as intense energy processes, also inefficiencies, and in some cases, there are a lot of areas of improvement that companies get a way to see through this sensing. Overall, the cyber-physical systems, you can say that they provide the manufacturers with tools to monitor, control, and optimize their process in a sustainable way. So, as I was telling you, our research unit work a lot in developing the technologies to allow the companies to improve a series of factors. Some of them, of the projects that we are going to discuss today, are the bioprinter that is being developed by Dr. Isaac Chaires, collaborative robotics for construction by Dr. Alejandro Hernandez, Also, machine learning in business models for circular economy by Dr. Christopher Muñoz. And Julian Ramirez is going to he is going to present the part of non-destructive analysis of materials. So this is the first project that is from Dr. Julian Ramirez.
The physical features of manufactured products in the casting industry depend mainly on the characteristics of the materials they are composed and internal and external processes used in their manufacturing. As a part of the quality assurance and the compliance demonstration, manufacturing elements must demonstrate the fulfillment of quality criteria set in standards and normative. There is a wide range of studies and techniques for inspecting materials at different levels. Commonly, these techniques are divided into two main groups: destructive tests and non-destructive tests. Both tests have advantages, disadvantages, limitations, and are not used solely. In fact, they are complementary for quality control, safety, and reliability of manufactured products. Destructive tests modify the properties, structure, or geometry of the examined parts, damaging the elements and causing them deformation or breaks that make them invalid for later use. Considering the aforementioned, these studies are carried out on a representative sample of the material. Unlike destructive tests, non-destructive tests are carried out on materials in an innocuous way, without affecting their structure or shape, leaving the elements intact after completion of studies, letting them to be used in the future. Industrial radiography is a non-destructive test used for inspecting materials to see and evaluate the internal structure of elements by using the ability of ionizing radiation such as X-rays, gamma rays, and neutrons to penetrate materials. Industrial radiography allows the inspection of objects without causing any damage, providing highly detailed images of their internal structures, enabling precise evaluation of objects. It is mainly used to inspect and identify defects such as cracks, flaws, difference in density, and porosity that may not be otherwise visible. Some of the advantages of industrial radiography are the saving of time and money compared to traditional inspection methods, the wide range of materials that can be assessed, and the immediate results, which allows quicker decision making and prompt corrective action. Despite these features, the information obtained through industrial radiography depends on the orientation of the assessed piece and the X-ray beam, causing the possible overlapping of structures which may lead to misdetection of defects and material discontinuities. An alternative method derived from industrial radiography is industrial computed tomography. In this technique, the element studied is rotated inside the X-ray beam, obtaining radiographies at different angles. This information is processed through a reconstruction algorithm to obtain the three-dimensional representation of the object in slices of small elements known as voxels. In contrast to industrial radiography, industrial computed tomography gives more detailed information. A common defect that can be assessed by industrial radiography or industrial computed tomography imaging is porosity. Porosity appears in many cast metal components, although it is especially prevalent in aluminum and magnesium die castings. Unfortunately, casting porosity inherently affects every link in the production supply chain, as it is present in different degrees in all castings. Industries such as aeronautics and automotive, where safety standards must be met, seek to reduce the degree of porosity in the parts of their products, since this could have an impact on their mechanical properties and result in increased fragility of the components. The development of machine learning algorithms for the assessment of porosity and other defects in casting products can solve several problems that affect the supply chain. It can also contribute to reduce waste of materials, electricity, technical, human, and economic resources. Automation processing can also be benefited, reducing the time of analysis, speeding up decision taking in premature stages. The algorithms can impact positively in industries such as the automotive, aeronautic, and spatial, where mechanical parts are crucial elements for the development.
Okay, an important part of this project is that we are already building the tomography device in Campus Ciudad de Mexico, and also is because the idea is that we are going to put this tomographic system in a line of production in a company that is in the state of Hidalgo. So that is the next step that we are looking for. So the next project that I'm going to present, thanks a lot, is a project of Dr. Alejandra Hernandez. This is a collaboration between Tecnológico de Monterrey and the University of Alberta. And it's about collaborative robotics. And it's about collaborative robotics and their application in the industry. This project, actually, I needed to advance. Okay. So this project involves a cutting-edge system that compromises a robotic arm and a mobile platform. The integration of these two robots can handle construction materials such as bricks from different shapes and sizes, and also construction rod. So, among other things in construction that it can handle. So, also it's important that it could be used for traditional construction, aiding construction workers, or for prefabricated construction. That is another advantage of this project. And in order to develop this robot, well, we employed advanced computer vision techniques to identify the bricks that need to be picked up by the robot. And then information is sent wireless via Bluetooth to the robot, and it triggers a signal inside the robot, then the robotic device is put into motion. So the first step is that the robot is set into position and orientation, and where it needs to be. The next step is that the robot locate the brick, pick it up, and put it also into position and orientation, and then set it where it needs to be. In order to do so, we perform several numerical evaluation of every aspect of the controller. In this case, the controller is a super twisting algorithm. And the first part was designed in MATLAB Simulink, but now we are trying to put the same algorithm into a developer board so it can control the robotic arm. Also, we employ image processing and webcams to gather the critical data around the construction field. This allows to set the robotic arm into position. And also, we have performed some benchmark against a PID controller versus the super twisting algorithm, sorry. And these are the first results that we have. Here you can see how it's following the trajectory. Also, now that we have finished those first steps of the robotic device, now we are going to put it to work in a collaborative way with a Universal 20 robot. And we're going to put a task to perform between the two arms. So this is the next step of this project. So that will be all for this one. Okay, so this next project is from Dr. Isaac Chaires, and it's about the building of a bioprinter. So
today, most of the understanding about human physiology and tissue organ pathologies are coming mainly from studies performed on 2D or 3D cell culture systems, which are commonly based on animal models and cells. Actually, when these studies are performed on 2D culture systems, the advantages are clear. For example, the simplicity, repeatability, and the clear understanding how the cell's physiology is driving the culture conditions. Nevertheless, we cannot follow exactly how cells will behave on 3D construct like tissues or organs. Therefore, in the last decade, the tissue engineering, the so-called tissue engineering technique and regenerative medicine bringing new printing and assembling processes that can out-generate biological functional tissue analogs based on living cells that can be deposited on biomaterials that will support their lives, and then
based on some bioactive molecules, we can keep them fit with the aim of creating a replicate of human organs. Um, Even that we cannot consider microfluidics like a bioprinting or bioassembling process, microfluidics is playing a central role in the field of biofabrication because this will help us to transfer nutrients to cells. Bioprinting by itself is an additive manufacturing process which is quite similar to 3D printing because it is using a digital file as a blueprint to create the object layer by layer, following the traditional strategies presented in 3D printing systems. Unlike the traditional 3D printing systems, bioprinter will print actually cells and biomaterials together or sequentially, creating an organ-like structure that let living cells multiply. Also, bioprinting is a relative new technology. Only maybe 20 or 10 years ago, the first really interesting results appeared. It has a huge potential to benefit industries like regenerative and personalized medicine, drug discovery, and cosmetics. Bioprinting is based on what we call bioinks, that is the combination of past cells, biomolecules, and additive material that will create the primary matter that will be transferred or deployed by the 3D printing system that will lead then to the 3D bioprinting construct. This 3D printing construct will eventually behave like a native tissue that can be replaced with the synthetic construct. The advantages of 3D printing include mimicking the real structure of the desired tissue, the possibility to revolutionize future medical treatment capabilities, the possible creation of patient-specific and organ-specific treatments, effect of drugs that can be examined more accurately, decreasing the animal testing procedures, and increasing the biocompatibility with human cells and tissues, as well as automating a complex process concerning the 3D constructs based on cells, on living cells. The disadvantages, of course, that there exist. The 3D bioprinting is characterized by because steel is highly costly. It's indeed an expensive technology. It's quite complex still because we need to develop more advanced technologies that can contain, deploy, and maintain living cells in a artificial construct. We need to maintain cell environment that can be a difficult task to resolve. For sure will be ethical concerns and energy consumption limits. Bioprinting is combining a lot of processes that come from the physical cross-linking that we need to create the bioink, how we will deploy the molecule that will form the synthetic uh, basal support to deploy cells and to create what is called as a synthetic scaffold, and then the system that will deploy cells in a controlled manner following a predefined structure. Of course, this should be combined all together in a culture system that will keep the environment conditions in order to live the best conditions for keeping alive for cells in a specific combination of biomaterials, cells, and molecules. Bioprinting has many goals. Among the main ones, we can consider the construction of self-sustainable devices, I mean biological devices, that can lead to construct organ-like forms that could look like, for example, a vascular tissue or kind of intestine or similar conductive organs that we have in the body. Of course, there are some other issues related to the technology that we are using to create 3D bioprinting systems, including how we are deploying the material inside the extruder or the equivalent technique that we are using to deploy and cells and biomolecules and so on. Of course, we also need to be worried about the fluid effects that, that we will have when we are dealing with the application of bioinks. At the end, what bioprinting is looking for is the creation of organs that will have the opportunity to be a replacement for human beings that are suffering of terrible illnesses and that will require, for example, a transplant of heart, kidney, liver, and so on. Another technique that we are trying to develop in general is the creation of some mimics of tissue, in particular that one that could be removed because previously the human being could have cancer, for example, and when they retire, when you need to grab the tissue, then it's possible to create this new material that will contain cells and that can replace at the end what the restricted with a restricted space and to replace the removed tissue that was damaged by the illnesses. Of course, all these procedures are possible because we can use this bioprinter system that can complete all the processes that we need to create this tissue, this artificial tissue that should be deployed on the scaffold. We have developed in our research group several bioprinter systems, especially that one, we started with that one that can print curved platforms because we need to have that curved surfaces to deploy some cells that will follow the structure of an organ that, that could be common in human body. This bioprinter was developed with the aim of creating predefined curved surfaces and that we completed several years ago and that has been already tested showing that we can keep cells alive for long periods over these surface curves. The size of this bioprinter system is like 50 by 50 by 50 centimeters. And this will be helpful to put this bioprinting system inside a regular environmental condition that is usual to culture cells in a regular shape, in a regular form. Also, we are developing different kind of bioprinter strategies or devices that could, for example, create these curved surfaces using a strategy to deploy cells on curved structures that won't need that big structure, even that big structure corresponding to the 3D printer system that I showed before. Also, we are developing some 3D printers that will have nano or micrometric resolution. This strategy will help us to create more precise forms for the tissue that we are trying to deploy or to develop, depending on what the application will be and so on. And besides, we are creating our own prototypes for creating controlled microfluidic strategies, especially those that can be inserted in a 3D bioprinting scheme. That includes the technology, the control system, the instrumentation, and of course the design of the circuits that we will use to conduct the fluids that will carry the molecules that the tissue will need. And finally, we are bringing new robotic technology that combine a robotic arm and a multi-model extruder that could create some complex tissues, some complex shapes that will correspond to or may correspond to some organs or tissues that could match better to what we have in the human body. Also, we are developing some own developed robotic arms that could substitute traditional commercial ones with the aim of having a technology that could be deployed in different areas in the country with the aim of removing one of the most important disadvantages that 3D bioprinting systems have that corresponds to the cost. So we are dealing with this new technology in robotic arms that could be included as a part of bioprinting system that we expect will become a scheme that will be used in new bioprinters that we are developing in the research unit. Our current challenges include developing prototypes with relevant testing in realistic scenarios. We are working with a way to deposit multiple components in the tissue to print vascularized synthetic tissue structures and to create advanced instrumentation and control strategies for the devices that we are creating. Also, we need to develop an arbitrary motion robotic system that could combine Z-axis at each robot, and then we will have the chance to create much more complex structures that can look like actually like an organ. And at the end, what we will try to do is to print realistic complex tissues that could be multi-component, vascularized, and mechanical predictable in terms of its properties. So this is what we are doing in the research unit about bioprinters, and thanks for listening.
So, well, the next project that I'm going to present is from Dr. Christopher Munoz. And, well, you know, this project, it's in collaboration with other research units of the Institute, and this is a really interesting project because it was motivated because, you know, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, there are about 10,000 tons of waste, bio-waste, every year, and especially here in Mexico, that represent about the 37% of the total agriculture production. So when you have that amount of bio-waste, you need to find ways to convert it in something else. So the idea behind this project is to develop business models to treat that bio-waste. In which sense do we mean that? So, you know, the project is in the following way. First of all, we are going to develop a full database of all the bio-waste or common bio-waste that can be found in Mexico. For this, we are going to go to some retail stores like Walmart, I don't know, Oxxo, Sam's, whatever you find. And we're going to pick all that waste that you can find in there, and we're going to characterize that waste. The challenge part of this project is that there are a lot of products that you can find, and the characteristics of each one change a lot. So the second step is to find what we can do with that bio-waste. That integrates the second part of the database. In this section, what we're going to do is find the possible routes for conversion of the waste that we have. Then, the third part of this is, once we find the possible routes, we need to develop the model in which we predict you know, gas emission of the process, the profit of the process, and sub-processes that are associated to each product. The third part of the project came with the implementation of hybrid models based in common decision-making models for business models, integrating machine learning. Up to now in this project, we are still in the part where we are building this huge database that contain both the characterization and the possible routes with costs associated to each process. But the next step will be to start to putting more and more possible routes that we can change the bio-waste, not only the 3 that we have right now, but to put a lot of more. And the third process will be to put the decision business models. But it's under construction, this project, and it's a really interesting one, actually. Okay, so the next project that I'm going to present is about okay, so it's about inverse design of new materials. So you know, currently the demand of new materials is huge because it's related to mitigate climate change, and you know, everyone wants to invent something new. So in this part, even though we have a huge demand about new materials, it presents a lot of challenges right now, but there are a lot of opportunities also. One of the opportunities that we have found is the implementation of artificial intelligence in the design development of new materials. So for this part, we're working with, when someone is developing a new material, most of the time they perform a series of experiments, and sometimes they use commercial software to try to predict, the compounds or the structure of the material and associated properties. But there is a huge problem in all of this because, these relations are nonlinear, so sometimes the commercial software is not that accurate in the prediction. So what we're trying to do in here is to apply machine learning algorithms to predict some of these relationships that we have between, the structure of the compound, the structures of the materials or the compounds of the materials and their property relations. So we're working with something that we're calling inverse machine learning. And what we have in here, first of all, we are working with a company, and we have found that applying this kind of techniques have saved the company a lot of cost in the design of new materials, and this is associated because they reduce the number of experiments that they have to perform to create a new material. Up to now, we are working with this company that is working with, that works with polymers. So what we do is that they already had some databases of some experiments. It's not a huge database. It was a small database. That was the first challenge that we found in here. And the second part is that, I don't know what, okay. And the second part was to integrate this database that has the formula of the products and the properties that are associated to this product. What they want to do is to have the properties that they are looking for in a new material, and through these properties that they are looking, that the algorithm gives them the formula that they are, to try to reduce the number of experiments that they are performing. So they use right now a commercial software, and this software have about 10% of error when it's predicting a new material. So we have already applied 2 different kinds of machine learning algorithms in here, and we have reduced this error to almost 0.00001, the error when predicting. This is just running in the computer right now. The next step that we are taking to the company is, well, we already have the 2 algorithms that are trained for this. So now we have to perform some experimental tests in the laboratory to see if the algorithm is predicting accurate. So that is the next step with this company. And, well, as you can see, as a research unit, we have many fields of knowledge. We are working in things that are related to computer sciences, instrumentation, control engineering, robotics, and industrial engineering. But actually, we don't work by ourselves everything in the projects. We rely on strategic alliances with other research units from the institute, people that is from biotechnology, from material science background. And mostly what we do is the instrumentation of all the devices or the implementation of the machine learning algorithms or deep learning algorithms. So all the projects that when companies come to us and are looking for a new project, we actually rely on this kind of strategic alliances because we don't master everything. So we just know about these fields of knowledge, but the other people help us in that part. So as a conclusion, we find that cyber-physical systems are actually great tools for the industry. They allow them to monitor, control, and optimize their process and reduce their environmental impact. Also, the other part that I was mentioning is that we don't perform any of the biological or chemical part associated to any of the processes that we present in here. There is other people, like for an example, in the bioprinter, there is other people that give us the ink that we use. We don't develop the ink, or we just test that in the bioprinter and that's all. Also, we provide solutions based in control, robotic, and monitoring systems. And that will be all for me. Thank you very much. That's the team at the research unit. There are a lot of doctoral students, actually. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Mariel. Shall we go to the chairs and receive some of the questions from the audience, here in physically or people that is watching us online? So, does anybody has any question? Well, I have one in the online audience. So, what is the major contribution that your unit is aiming to achieve in advanced materials for sustainable manufacturing?
Okay. So we are looking to develop technology that is not that expensive, because most of the technology that exists already for developing new materials, their costs are not that suitable for our economy. So we are trying to develop our own technology with lower costs that we can find in the market. And also, we are looking for specific problems. We need the industry to come and tell us, we have this problem, what you can do to solve it. Because we can create a lot of things, but if you don't find the specific use for that, it's just a prototype at the end.
Of course. And I see the point that it's really important to get accessible tools to the environment or the ambient that we are involved. And of course, it's a challenge to bring these options in new technology into the market and into the population. And as you said, we need to be very strategic on selecting the specific challenges that will have huge impact from industry, and of course, at the end into the general population, right? Very interesting. Does we have another question? Of course.
If I understood correctly, one of the challenges you're trying to tackle in the bioprinting side of things is being able to extrude more than one material at a time, right? Like 2 types of materials. I don't know much about that field, but in my mind, regular, for lack of a better word, 3D printing, that's sort of a solved issue where you just put 2 extruders side by side. So where does the extra challenge come in for bioprinting, where you can't just like put another nozzle right beside it and print 2 things at the same time?
You make it sound really easy, but when you're working with tissue, it's not that easy. You have to control a lot of parameters that are associated to the bioprinter. If not, you can, you can do that directly and print both of them, but maybe they are not that compatible. So you need to check for everything, all the parameters that are associated to the printing task. So it's not that easy. So we are still working on that.
Thank you.
And following on that question about the polymers, we are currently working on some polymers. If we can present a challenge regarding the best properties, what should we give? What do you need to start working? It's also, if the audience, if there's similar problems, what do they need to bring to you to start this type of collaboration?
Just the compounds that are associated to your polymer and the associated properties. Whenever you perform an experiment, you know what do you put in that experiment. But also at the end, you measure some properties in this polymer, like tensile strength and others. So you make a database, a full database, and you provide us with that database, and you are going to tell me, I need you to find this specific property or all the properties, or I need you to find, based on these properties, the compounds or the structure of this material. So we start to work with that, and that will be all.
Great, thank you, man. There is another question online. Let me go to that. What are the main limitations of the X-ray projects to be used at the industrial scale?
The main limitations. Right now, we have a limitation with the X-ray machine because of the size of the tube. We're just working with the small metal parts. We cannot work with big metal parts like I don't know, like a car motor. That will be unrealistic right now for us. For us, we're not now working with small metal parts like 5 or 5 centimeters. In order to go bigger, we need to get another X-ray tube. That's actually our limitation right now. But it's actually a really expensive part. It's about $1 million pesos, so the one that we have already. So if we want to go with a bigger size, we need to put more money. So that's our limitation right now.
Great, great. There are more questions online, but I would like to jump into the audience if there is another question. If not, I continue online. Well, there is another question here. Is the research in Mexico sustainable? That's number one. And the second one is, numerical tools replace basic science such as physics, chemistry, medicine, or mechanics?
No, they don't replace that. They are tools. They help. That is all. But we still need people to perform the experiments, to validate what we are doing, because if not, it's just numbers. So, and the other part, it was...
and the first one was, is the research in Mexico sustainable?
It's sustainable, but it's difficult because we need to find grants. We need to find, some support, but it is sustainable, actually. And, here in Tecnológico Monterrey, actually, today we have the challenge, it closed. So everyone is looking to get grants or funding for their projects. That is the important part.
Of course, and also it's important to get involved with the industry and present the challenge. So of course, they will bring also the support to do those research. No? Mm-hmm. There is another one online. In the design of new polymers, what hypotheses can you introduce in the algorithms, and what are their limitations? And brings an example. A chain fully carbonated, like PE, PP, or PS, is a chain that links with ester or esters. What limitations has this, and when you bring into the practice or the real, what is the time of computation?
Okay, so I did not understand the question, but I understand a little bit of it. I guess limitations. The first of all is you need to have a really good database, because if you put a mistake in the database, that mistake is going to be reflected in the algorithm when it's going to do the prediction. That will be the first one. You need a clean and good database at all. The second part will be the computational cost, because generally to train an artificial intelligence algorithm, you need a lot of data. And sometimes in the laboratories, they don't have that amount of data. So you will find that they only have like 20 experiments, and that will be a little bit limited to train a really good algorithm that is robust enough to predict anything else. That will be the second limitation. And the third limitation is that if they have a really good database, sometimes the computational cost is related. It will predict really good, but it will take a lot of time. That will be the third part, yeah.
Yes, and also this relates to the other question that was asking if these kind of tools replace the other areas, and that's the answer, no? Yes. Because in order to have a good database, you need to perform a lot of experiments to bring really well-trained scientists to perform the good questions, and then do the research, produce the information, and of course bring it to the...
And validate. Yeah, the algorithm. Because you can predict something, but if you don't have the people to validate...
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if we have any other question in the floor or online. I think there is no more. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you, Mariel, for this really interesting talk. Thank you all for being here, and we wait for you, or we hope you are here for the next seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.